Have you recorded?
3, 2, 1, and we are live.
Hey, take it away, Benny.
You always
Take it away.
And we are live.
There we
on
go.
the Kyle and Jackie O show.
All right. Well, here we're here for the Dropouts, episode number 6.
Number 6.
We are talking about dreams.
Dreams.
Very, very exciting. Very exciting.
Couple of dream chasers with me. Boys, how we feeling today?
We're feeling good.
Yeah,
We're
good.
feeling good. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty
nice
good.
beanie, Shawnee.
Thank you.
Shout out
Thank you.
JC Build.
JC Build.
Let's
Looking in-
build.
Let's build.
Looking at the camera there. Here we
Yeah.
go. Very nice.
We just seen-
got some hats from Josh C.
If nothing else, we're acquiring a lot of merch
We are.
Yeah.
We
for
are.
the podcast.
Yeah,
Definitely.
We
I
just
gotta-
have to match one episode at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we
You
got
guys
to come
get
out. We got to do our own merch soon, right? We
Yeah,
got
that's
hoodies
right.
for winter.
Oh,
yeah.
right,
Oh,
100%.
hoodies. Yeah, you reckon?
Hoodies?
I reckon. I'm a big fan of hats because wear them whenever you want.
Hats or beanies for winter.
See, but hats
for
are so
summer.
broad. You know what I mean? You got 5-panel. You got snapbacks.
I can't do
you got-
5-panel, bro. I was saying this the other day. My head's too deep. I need deep dish. I got a deep head.
You got to be kind of white to have that cool surfy like 5-panel look. You know. What
You're
I mean?
right. You're right.
Oh,
'cause
is that the JC hat that he gave us?
Yeah, like the
true.
Supreme hats
Yeah.
back in the day. They got
Yeah.
that. Cool look.
Nike's got those mad running 5-panels. I tried them on. They don't work. The Aero Bill. Actually, Cameron Naud's got one.
Yeah,
Cameron
shout out
Naud.
Cameron now. Yeah,
The
you got to
Nike
have
one, yeah.
that
I've got one
nice
of those.
jawline.
Aero Bill.
sort
I've got
of-
one of those.
You got one of those
Yeah,
too,
they're nice.
yeah.
I like those. Yeah.
Mm.
Or you can do like the trucker hats. I guess those are pretty simple.
Yeah, Von Dutch. Yeah.
Von Dutch. I used to love Von Dutch back in the day.
Remember the Von Dutch hats?
Speaking of dreams, just quickly, this actually started as a dream.
Hey,
Started
good
as a
intro.
dream. Started with $1 and a
Did you
dream.
plan that? No, that was.
It's true though.
That was organic.
Organic.
That
That's-
was
that's the-
smooth.
grass fed.
Smooth affair.
Love a sirloin grass fed.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, started as a dream.
Yeah, it did.
And here we are, 6 episodes later.
6
Shout out
deep.
everyone that's been watching. We hope you're enjoying the episodes. We feel like we're getting more confident, more comfortable each week, JP.
You said it started as a dream, right? But I think we've always acknowledged how this started. But why did you even want to start a podcast, Sean?
What was the motive?
Well, that's a good question. I've always wanted to do one. Probably the last 5 years. Just to get my voice out there, especially in around the health space. But for us particularly, obviously we're just doing our conversations around business, having that Friday meetup, and I just thought, why don't we just do it in a podcast format?
Oh yeah, because we had those
that was
little
pretty much it.
business meetings.
Business meetings, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
think it's
that was pretty much it.
I think it's a good place to jump off from because, you know, if this was a dream and then we've, I guess, achieved that in a sense, it kind of makes it a little bit more realistic when you put, I think, these little milestones into play and then you're able to tick those boxes that eventually leads to, you know, achieving the big dream on a big goal. But oftentimes people don't even want to make that start to begin with.
Starting is the hardest part.
Starting is
Yeah.
the hardest part,
Yeah,
I think.
But then you have to obviously break it down, right? You have your dream, okay, whatever that is, and we all dream, whether it's dreaming in bed or you have your just real dreams that you want to be for whatever success that you want. But you need to obviously break those down, right? Like set goals, set plans, set paths, etc. And that's sort of what we did, and we're maintaining that.
Where do
moving
you think that comes from? I think I always think back to when I was a kid and there were certain things that I had a dream that I wanted to do. Like I remember really early on, I think I've mentioned it maybe in last week's episode or something. I wanted to be a scientist for whatever reason because I was playing around with the Bunsen burner. That was a miniature version of a dream. But then when I started to get a bit older and when I started in recruitment, for some reason I always envisioned myself like with a suit on and a briefcase walking down a big building with all glass down the side, and I was walking literally down the big hallway. Like that was like a dream in my head. I thought that was my picture of like success.
I love
Do you
that.
know-
part.
But where does that come from?
But do you know what you wanted to do, like with that briefcase and
no,
that suitcase?
I think it was the feeling that I had when I pictured and envisioned that was a sense of like just pride in what I did, and I think just like a level of. And my dad always said to me, "It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're good at it." He used to say like. You can do anything so long as you're good at it. You take pride in your work, and
nice. Great advice.
I think when you're a kid, but like you've got that, you haven't been probably influenced by the world yet that have like dimmed down your light and dimmed down that dream, and you can have those like almost
Curiosity.
insane curious dreams where you're like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a football player. For me, I was so certain when I was like 8, to the age up until I was about 14 years old that I was going to be a WWE wrestler.
You.
I grew
Love
up
that shit.
loving the WWE, WWF, WCW. Went to all the shows when they came to Sydney.
Nice. Who was your
Favorite wrestler.
favorite? Who did you want to emulate yourself after?
I loved Goldberg.
Goldberg.
In the WCW.
Is that
Goldberg.
the one that's in all the movies? No, that's
Yeah,
Steve
he was in
Austin.
some
That's
movies.
Cold.
Oh,
He
you
was
know
in
what?
some
Steve
movies.
Austin. Okay,
Steve
me
Austin,
and my
right.
brother were having a laugh about this. He
He is the GOAT.
He is the GOAT.
Why
of
is he
all
the
time.
guy?
You know
can I
what?
just say one thing?
Because that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so.
I've never watched. That was hectic. I've never watched a wrestling match in my whole life. The most I've ever watched wrestling is Logan Paul in the last
true.
3
Logan,
months,
true.
and his
So
hectic
you never watched
moves.
wrestling?
Never in my life.
Even the Miz,
Look
I
at
used to
Foxtel.
love these larger than life characters because they they personified these larger than life characters, and I
Yeah,
think that was
100%.
ultimately the attraction. Apart from the wrestling inside the ring, it was always like who these characters were on screen. John Cena, obviously,
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar, but the
Yeah.
Miz was one of them I used to love because he used to grab the microphone and he used to be like, "I'm the Miz, and I'm awesome," and everyone used to be like, "Fuck this guy," you know? Like, he's just so arrogant. But yeah.
Mine was way before. He was like I was like the Undertaker or Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Undertaker.
early Rock
Yeah.
and Mankind.
Yeah.
Booker T,
Booker
Goldust,
T,
all
five-time
yeah.
WCW World Heavyweight
you
Champion.
really know
I
your
used to love
wrestling.
wrestling, bro.
Yeah.
Anyone
So is
out
there
there?
like-
Massive.
Yeah,
Is
bro.
there like is there Australian wrestling? Is that a thing?
There is.
I think
There is.
it's-
It's called the AEW. Or not
Oh,
AEW.
Maddie's looked it up.
Yeah, bro.
Sorry, not AEW.
He's still on
the
that path.
AWF.
Yeah.
He's still on that
That's still a
path.
dream.
The AWF, Australian Wrestling Federation. They're actually based out in Blacktown, so who knows?
Oh,
Maybe
wow,
I'll get
bro.
in the
That's-
ring one day.
What's your name?
Yeah, what would your wrestling name be?
There's one wrestler actually called Matt Morgan. So I can't use my real name. I don't know, probably something like
Maddie something.
just
Or-
like it's got to be something like with an element of truth in it. So like Matty Mongo or just something cooked. But did you have a dream growing up?
We are literally forming a dream right now for Maddie. He's
Yeah.
going through it. My dream growing up, and there's probably majority, not all, but majority of Kiwi kids want to be an
Rugby.
All Black.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was my dream. Playing footy when I started at 5 years old, and going through that and going into high school and playing first 15. That was pretty much the dream. My other dream was to hopefully finish school. That was the other one. But yeah, I didn't have any aspirations in and around education or anything like that. But yeah, definitely it was the All Blacks. And look, only a handful of people can do that and move on and do that. And I was fortunate enough to actually play with an All Black, with the current All Black, Angus Ta'avao. I played with him in first 15. And, obviously I didn't go on to fulfill that dream. I'm on a different path now to fulfill a different dream that I have. But it's been great to be able to have been able to play with somebody that actually fulfilled that dream that I had, which is pretty awesome to see.
One thing I'd like to, delve into a little bit more. Maybe you can shed some light on this. We obviously have our own experiences, maybe in attaining dreams, but also other topics that we have on this podcast. So I'm learning a lot from you boys. But I'd like to know what you think is the criteria in actually achieving your dreams, and how much of an influence is it internally, just yourself, and the people who have achieved these huge, like, sort of amazing dreams, maybe in sports or in their respective fields. How much do you think maybe their parents or their family growing up or people around them had to do with them actually achieving that dream? Do you think it's all internal, or do you think the people around them have a big part to do with that? And how do you silence those voices when you're trying to achieve something that maybe hasn't been done before?
Yeah. That's it. There you go, Shawnee.
Yeah, I think there's two parts in terms of looking at the external versus the internal. Like, with your dreams, you have to be the one that believes in it wholeheartedly. Like, it's got to come back down to you, number one. Number two, you do need that support network, right? So like I said, you need to have those processes. So if you do have a dream, for example, wanting to become a wrestler, you need to reverse engineer it and say, how am I going to actually achieve this dream?
Yes.
Dreams, goals, your plan, and then everything else in between it. So again, looking at yourself and how you believe in your dream, but also other people as well. So I think that your dream has to be purposeful, has to be a big why.
You have to have a big why.
reason why you're actually doing it, because that's going to really bring you to the fore when the times get hard, because it's hard to really work on your dreams and really work to what you want in life. So I definitely think that you have to have a big enough why, because if you have a big enough why, you can endure anyhow. Usually that's how the saying goes. And that's sort of, for me, And I'll sort of use my story, I guess, or a story from what I'm trying to do with the dream that I have, and it links into my running as well. Why I'm doing all these runs. So I want to do a 100-kilometer trail run in December, and then I want to do another one in February and another one in May next year. So I want to do 300 Ks in 6 months. And the reason why I want to do that comes back to the dream of me wanting to create a foundation, and the foundation is going to be built around educating young Pacific Island, Māori, and probably look at also Aboriginal kids on the importance of education and also health. All right. And that dream started when I became a personal trainer. So it's been a long time.
Wow.
It's been in the back of my mind. And the whole running aspect of it, one, I want to do it because it challenges myself. It's a personal thing. But then again, looking at that contribution, it's a dream that I've had for a long time. And I want to be able to, curate this thing or this dream into something that gives that contribution to my community that I grew up in.
I love that.
So yeah, and again, I've talked about running and how I feel about running, and I've got to start next week because I've got my competition on Saturday. I've got to start my training for this 100K run. I've got a 24K trail running plan. So I've said before that I'm not a big fan, but because I have this big dream, this big why that I've held on to for such a long time, that's going to actually help pull me toward this goal that I want to do. So
well, you're leveraging that. I think you're going to achieve that as well, maybe as well, because it's not just about you. There's a bigger picture here. It's not just about, me, my goals, my dreams, my aspirations. It's like you almost have a sense of, I want to do that to help these kids and to help people that maybe I didn't have that opportunity when I was, growing up as a young Māori kid or an Aboriginal or whatever it is. And I think when you're doing it for other people, there's definitely an even bigger why. So props, Shawnee. That's awesome, mate.
But that's the thing. I think, again, have that why, have that purpose, and then just back engineer it or reverse engineer it back down to the actual actions each day. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned a bit about who influences that, those dreams and, is that my uncle outside? Yeah, he's mowing the lawn.
I can hear mowing in the back.
He gave me a missed call just now, so I thought it was the Uber Eats driver with the coffees, but
that's all right.
Not to be. Yeah, who was saying something? One of you was saying something about where do those dreams come from? Is that right? What was that again?
Yeah, I guess where do they sort of stem from? Is that something that you've had, and how have dreams sort of shifted over time? I think as I hit the 15, 16-year-old mark, I was like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be a WWE wrestler at this stage. That's not to say I didn't still shoot for the stars. I think the cafe was always a dream of mine, and I only realised it was a dream because boys that I used to play footy with, when I had finally opened, were like, man, you've been speaking about this since you were 14, 15 years old. And I think that's why there was so much satisfaction there. And I think a lot of, that fulfillment comes from when you see something in your head and in your imagination and you dream about this one thing happening, and then to see that get built, and then the coffee machine go in and the tiles go on the wall, and then the first customer handing me money and putting it in the till. It was like, it felt so familiar because mentally I've salivated over this for such a long time, and then you've replayed it over and over.
Call it, they call it manifestation, right? You think about something over and over again, and you manifest it, and that law of attraction and all that sort of stuff. I think that stuff is really important. I hear people talk about that stuff all the time, and I firmly believe, like you said, like when you can envision it like that, and then you see it play out, you go, wow, that actually makes a difference.
Do you know what? But it's interesting. We're talking about dreams, and I don't want to get off topic and be like the dark side, the bearer of bad news. But just as much as you can bring these dreams and these aspirations into life through positive thinking and and prayer and all these things, but you can probably bring in nightmares, things that you fear that you attract. Big
time.
Big time.
Well, that's why a lot of people find it hard to actually reach their dreams and goals, right? Because they have these negative connotations around them, like these limiting beliefs, etc. So, like you said, there's two parts of it. There's great that people are out there fulfilling their dreams and going forward, but then there's some people out there that just have a shelf full of dreams and a shelf full of goals that are just collecting dust, and they're just sort of sitting in their comfort. So, it's good.
Maybe someone who works sort of more in the corporate sector, like, are you able to shed a bit more light on, you were talking off camera a little bit about sort of, I guess, your paycheck versus that dream.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit more about that.
I think it's like this notion of, and when you think about people in general, like myself included, when you think about, you want to call it dreams, you want to call it like stuff that that you'd prefer to do, whatever it is, right? I think there's this kind of whole notion of like passion versus your paycheck. You know, there's something that you want to be doing that you're really eager and excited to do that you think is, you know, your potential calling in, you know, in business in particular, or, you know, to make money or whatever your career. But then, you know, and I think, you know, one of you said before about, you know, you get into a point where you kind of, how do they change as you get older? And I think as you get older, there comes a point where you go, okay, well, I have to survive. I have to provide. I have to, you know, be able to make ends meet. And that often conflicts with what those dreams are, right? Like at the end of the day, you know, for me, for example, you know, I'm married and I have, you know, a wife to look after, and, you know, she works and stuff too, but, you know, we want to ultimately start a family and have kids. So those are things that play into the fact that, you know, that dream of, or me potentially wanting to get into something property related, and do something like that, whether it be buyer's agent, whatever it may be. That's something that has been on my mind for a long time, but ultimately, you know, I've been working for, you know, in tech and in tech startups now for a while. And that's where my expertise are. And that's where I demand the most when it comes from my paycheck, you know, which enables me and my wife to go and travel and to be able to do stuff that we enjoy. So I think that everyone struggles with that a little bit, right? There's, you know, there's always people out there that are like doing something just to get that paycheck, but, you know, maybe their dreams are elsewhere. And I think that can be difficult because people are trying to find that balance. But as they get older, those kind of people can find that those dreams, you know, dwindle, or not dwindle away, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I suppose it's like the stage you're at, you know, we're obviously, you know, 35, 31, 23, and I think seeing, you know, not just you boys, but other friends that are a little bit older, my older brothers, in fact, they're just like, you know, I think now if there's a time to be selfish, thanks, bro. I think now if there's a time to be selfish, it's right now, and like really go for them. And I hope that one day I'm able to, you know, have more friends around me that are supporting of them, and a life partner that's supporting of those dreams. But as you said, it's probably a little bit more difficult when you're, you know, you've got a family to provide for and you've got someone to, you know, look after in a sense. But I think being selfish, especially now, is something that I'm trying to take advantage of as much as possible. I've got that time on my hands.
And I think, like, just to counteract what was, you know, this point, like, the grass is always greener as well, right? Like, I think the interesting thing is that, you know, we think about these, you know, we talk about dreams now, but in reality, if any one of us had maybe gone back 2, 3, 4, 5 years, if you had gone back to your pre-cafe days, if you had told yourself back then you would open a cafe and get that done and, you know, reach some level of success doing that, you would have been like, oh, bro, clap, you know, wipe the hands off. I'm done. That's it. Like I've achieved it. Yes. Right. Yeah. So there's this notion of like, have we actually achieved more than we think we are? But because we've now progressed in life, the people, not necessarily the people, but the way that we our standard for ourselves and the people that we even compare ourselves to have changed. So even those people that you and I would think that have made it, they've made a huge deal of success, oh, they're killing it, whatever. Those people often don't necessarily have the level of fulfillment that you might think they do.
You're right, 100%. They've been trying to get to this point for so long, and they finally achieved that milestone, and then they're like, well now what?
Yeah.
It was always
chasing. They just continue to chase and chase and chase.
Well, look at George Kambosos. I love seeing George Kambosos finally win the title. Actually, there was a video the other day where he was like sitting down with Haney on a
Devin Haney's the guy that he lost
the belt to. And it's a bit off topic, but Kambosos is kind of like, brother, I grew up in the hood. I know what it's like to, you know, look after my family. I put them up in a hotel room. They almost got robbed. And Haney's there just sitting there shaking his head. This guy grew up truly in the, like, Sydney, Australia. He's not the hood. And Haney's just like, man, quit it, bro. Like, stop fucking hyping this story up. But yeah, no, amazing. Like, who's some of your favorite stars, or like maybe not stars, sports stars? Are you a sports head? You seem a bit more geeky than a sporty kind of guy.
I've always loved playing sport, and I've always been good at, like, you know, for example, you know, I can play basketball pretty well. I'm pretty good basketball.
You are an athlete.
And I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good rugby player too. But I've never been one to watch sport much, to be honest with you. Okay. I do watch the UFC and the boxing and stuff now. But bro, if you were to tell me, like, if you were to ask me to name 5 players, like 2 players on the Heat, I could probably name Jimmy Butler and shit.
But yeah,
but you know what I mean.
I get you.
I don't watch it that much. But like I don't know. Who's the people that I'm trying to think about who I kind of looked up to when I was younger. Pass. What about you guys? I'll come back to
The Miz was one.
Oh, The Miz.
The Miz.
What about you, Shawnee?
Who I looked up to? Look, for me, it was not somebody out there who was doing, you know, someone famous. To start off, it was my dad.
Touche.
So he was the first one where I was watching him do his thing as a kid and go on and to find success in his life. So obviously he became, like I've said before, he was a single parent. And when I was about 14, 15, he decided to go to uni and get a degree in, I forgot what the degree. You right there, mate?
Sorry, bro.
So that's just the PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation's going off.
Listen. We spoke about this before. My coffee order's on the way. That's fucking disgusting.
Gee, turn that off. Turn that off.
Okay, we're just gonna. My ears are red.
Sorry, we're just having some
Sorry.
technical difficulties right now.
Okay, we're back. Sorry, Shawnee, please go on before you're rudely interrupted by my iPhone.
Yeah, so, again, single father to two kids, he decided that he was going to go to university and become a bomb dog handler, so a sniffer dog
Oh,
for like the airport and the army.
you go to uni for that?
Yeah, well, you got to learn about dogs and you have to learn.
That's
I
sick.
forget what the specific thing he did there, but he went there and he did that, and obviously that was for me at that time where education wasn't so much important. Like to see him do that, I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Because I think he was the first person in my family to go to uni. I think in my family. So he was sort of my first person that I watched do that, go and do that and get his degree, and obviously change work and go and do that, and then also. With regards to the situation that he was in, he's bought a couple of properties. He's become, quite successful in his own right, travels whenever he wants, etc. So I think he was the first person that I looked at that had a dream, that had this thought of this dream and had a lot of things in and around him that could hold him back from that dream. And then he went and did it, and when he did it anyway. And whenever I talk to people, especially I had clients as a PT, and they'll talk to me, they'll say, oh, wait till you have kids and wait till you have kids, to be able to go and do your dreams or even reach your goals. I'd never say this to them. I'll never tell them about my dad. I'll never be like, well, my dad was a single parent, and he did this and he did that. And he was, and again, everybody's situation is different. I'm not saying that just because some people do what they do to achieve doesn't mean that other people can. But yeah, like that was always something that I always looked at, and especially looking at him going, well, if he can achieve that, if he can go through this, and overcome these difficulties, and then I can as well. So yeah, I'd say.
Do you think the amount of people that have achieved their dreams, or at least people trying to aspire towards dreams, has dwindled over the last 10, 15, 20 years? Personally, I think so, just in terms of like our ability to have a strong imagination, purely because we're consuming so much. Even people maybe scrolling and watching a short on Instagram of this video, in fact, or we just consume. We don't have as much drive for us to go out and achieve these goals. We're happy to just sit back and collect our paycheck and go out for lunch on the weekend, and not really push past the point of things that seem so out of reach.
I think it changes over time. Like an example is, when COVID came around, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people were out of work, and what that does to a lot of people, in terms of their sense of security, is they go, oh fuck, like I need a job, and all of a sudden people go back into survival mode. So they go back into, okay, all I want is to just have a job, have some stable income, provide. So I think it really depends on like even just the economic state of people, their situation, but also the country. Like I think varies on that. Like I remember that was a big thing like during COVID, is that people just like, fuck, like when people are like, I need to make an income, I need to make ends meet, they all of a sudden that kind of dream, that aspiration kind of shuts down. They go straight into survival mode.
But I also think there's an opposite effect as well. I think on a small percentage where they go, I've been doing this job, I've been doing this career for such a long time. Man, I've had this big reset. I feel that I can move away from that and actually go and chase my dreams. And you hear all the entrepreneurs saying all the time, like one of the best times to come through and actually achieve your goal is to do it in like a recession, or do it in a time where everybody else is starting to recede and starting to pull back. And then it's a great opportunity for you to move out into the open and go, hey, I've got this idea, I've got this dream, I'm going to go out, I'm going to take as much market share as I can, and then go and be successful. So
yeah, you do hear those stories actually. People just going like, oh, I lost my job, and then I was like, fuck it, I've been wanting to do this for so long, and they actually finally take the leap.
So
are dreams always so inextricably linked to your career? Are there people?
No, not necessarily. I was actually thinking about this after when I said like, what was I even? Because I even thought to myself before, I'm like, fuck, what did I actually aspire to when I was a kid? And like I remember, and I've been fortunate that I've come from a very strong family unit. Like I've been strong, very blessed just to have a very strong, supportive, very very loving family. Like my I've my mum and my dad are around me, and we're all really close, and my sisters and my cousins, we're all just like it's a big family unit, So when I was growing up, when I think about it now, I was actually like, I even thought of that, like, you know, the suburban house and
White
the
picket
family,
fence.
white picket fence, like, you know, that ideal kind of family unit that I experienced. And I was, my goal was I want to one day get married and have kids and provide for my family, just as, like my dad did. So I guess in a way, you could say that it was when you said your dad, it triggered something in me. I'm like, yeah, I want to do what my dad did.
Yeah.
I remember there's a photo of me like at the house I grew up in and I was in until I was here. Just around the corner in Greystanes, where when the house was getting built, and there's a photo of me when I was like 4 years old, standing on top of all the bricks. And I was just standing up, putting my hands in the air, and that sort of stuff. When I think of it, kind of strikes a nerve, and I think to myself, like, I want to be able to do that for my family, for my kids, and in a way, like, when I think of it, I'm blessed because I'm part of the way there. Like, I'm married and,
it goes so quick,
and
man.
that sort of stuff. So I have to be, constantly, I know people talk about gratitude all the time. And, I like to just say, like, being thankful for what I have and for what has come my way so far. And
I think that's probably one of the biggest factors, maybe it just clicked to me, is one of the biggest factors in probably achieving your dream is enjoying the process just as much, being as grateful as you can for that process. I know so many people that are just... They're just so ungrateful. Yeah. They're just so ungrateful.
They just want to have the outcome.
They want to have the outcome.
They don't want to enjoy the process.
They want the outcome.
That's where the growth is, in the process of getting to that outcome.
And it's only so sweet because you fucking struggle.
And the outcome is small.
And you hear them, and you hear the people that have achieved the success. What do they reminisce on?
The process.
The process. They never go and say, like, my money's hectic. Yeah, fine. Of course, they've got things and they're able to do stuff, but they always go, oh, remember this, and they always have the memories of the experience of getting where they got to.
It was squeezing of that juice. That's why it's so sweet, because the money only tasted so good because they were so broke for so long.
But that's also
so hard for it.
But I think that's for us, like with doing this podcast, we haven't talked about the end result.
Like,
no. What are we
We're
looking
just
for?
enjoying it.
We're just like, well, we'll just see what happens. We'll
exactly,
just do
because we're talking
X
about the
episodes and
Andy
whatever.
from the cafe asked me today, he's like, so bro, like, how's the podcast going? I'm like, yeah, we're recording another one this morning. So have you got like the next like 5, 6, 10 episodes planned out? I'm like, no, we just decided yesterday we're going to talk about dreams. And then we'll just get in there and chit chat and
I think that's the realness comes into it. But also, like we said, we're just enjoying the process, enjoying each other's company. And it's been a dream for me to do a podcast before, but in a different way now, where I haven't been looking at that end result, where I've been like, going through all the Philly things, like getting the dropouts on the TV and what are we going to talk about, and I'm starting to like that stuff, like just the fuck it, like, just the excitement of just rocking up and just seeing how it goes, and going through that journey. It's so awesome.
And people, I'm assuming, been asking you guys that too, like, oh, so like, what's the end game, or like, what's the plan? Are you looking to like monetize it? Or I'm just like, nah, man, we just want to get as many episodes, like we just want to get
all of that stuff falls into place. And I think, like we said, that first step is the hardest step, and people often put off that first. Just start. Just begin. Try, fail, fail. Man, Thomas Edison 1,000 times before he got the light bulb correct. And then there's so many stories like that you hear before people actually, prevail, or they see that success.
But I think so many people don't even know how to do that. Like, they have a dream or they have a thought, right? And it's easy to do it these days because you look through social media and you see someone doing something, like, I want to do that, or I want to do that. And I think sometimes there's so many things that people want to do where it's like, man, it's okay to admire people for what they do. It doesn't mean you have to follow them and actually do what they're doing. Make sure you follow your own dreams and what your own aspirations are, and then go back to thinking back to when you were a kid. Like, what did you want to do when you were a kid? What things did you like to do when you were a kid? Because you can get trapped in that rat race of just, like I said, scrolling through social media and just seeing so much success, or so-called success, that you sort of get split into two, where I want that or I admire that, but I just don't think that I can actually get there. But we get trapped into that cycle. And with regards to dreams as well, I think, like you're saying before, we're talking about the external. I think making sure that you have people around you that are going to help support your dream. Internally, you need to believe in your dream. You need to have structure. One, people don't know how to have that structure, but two, having that external representation where people can actually support you. Because for me, like my sister, when I was 24, she actually asked me if I still wanted to be an All Black.
I love that. Really?
Yeah, like randomly out of the blue. Like, I know, obviously my sister likes our stuff and comments all the time, but like you said with your family as well, like my family have never ever told me that I shouldn't do something, or never ever said like, they've always been like, oh, you're doing that, oh cool, oh, you're doing that, oh cool. And I think that goes a long way to help you build on those dreams. And again, I go back to my sister. When she said that to me, I think it was a text message or a phone call, she goes, oh, do you still want to be an All Black, like with this massive excitement? And I was like, bro, no, I'm not going to
But she
that.
believed in you so much.
But she still remembered that dream, and at that time, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
No?
And you're like
No?
ridiculing her, but she
Yeah.
is like,
I'm playing park
big
footy.
up-
I'm playing park footy over here, just playing league.
Yeah.
And then, but then now I think about
Oh.
it, I'm like,
Is that the doorbell?
Oh,
There's doorbell, yeah.
that's a
Is that-
JP.
is
You
that-
know,
is that my
we're just gonna
piccolo?
All right,
excuse him
excuse
for
right
a sec.
JP's getting a coffee.
We'll
And I'm getting Maddie's coffee.
I'm
as well.
getting
Maddie's coffee. Yeah.
hanging for a
All right,
coffee.
you guys keep going.
We'll keep going.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's like again, and having that.
I've been
support
dreaming about
system
this
around
coffee.
you.
Cap 1 sugar. Oh man, I hope not 1 sugar. Spro Bros. Sorry, I just needed a bit of sweetness in my coffee this morning.
Where do you get the coffee from?
No, this coffee was from AJ's Cafe
AJ's
in
Cafe.
Greystanes.
Shout
Beautiful
out to
coffee.
AJ's
Shout out
Cafe.
AJ. Shout out Campos.
We had one of our meetings actually, one of our business meetings.
Mm.
Yeah, when we
That's
actually
actually where the
decided to do
dream
the
was
podcast.
birthed.
Yeah,
100%.
would the dream come to fruition? Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Hey JP, since you're up, just have a look if camera's still
Yeah,
going. Oh,
we still
beautiful.
recording or
Mm.
we're about half an hour in.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're on. Oh,
still
the boys are
recording.
on.
Beautiful.
People are gonna say we're a bit unprofessional, stopping up, getting up in the middle of our thing.
Like we said, we're just going off the flow.
That's it. We're a bit rough around the edges how we do things here. Let's have a look at this.
Bro,
coffee.
someone's gonna key your car. You're like, there's a pathway.
Oh,
Maddie, Maddie parks on the driveway, but like in the middle of the footpath.
See, okay, I'm not happy already. There's not enough chocolate on top.
Bro, listen, someone from AJ's is gonna listen to this podcast. Don't criticize
Well, fix
them.
your fucking cappuccinos.
What's
then,
wrong with
and
it,
we
bro? It came via Uber Eats. What do you expect?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Nah, it's all right.
No, it doesn't.
Shout out Fatty.
JP, love you. Thanks, bro. Shout out, Fatty.
Shout out Fatty.
These
from
coffee
AJ's.
fiends.
Yeah, Shawnee's not a slave to coffee. Anyway, yeah, bro, someone's gonna key your car. Look, you park there if you want, but it's not my fault if someone keys your car.
This is a safe neighborhood, though, isn't it?
It is a safe neighborhood.
It's actually, yeah, very nice.
Yeah. There you go.
Actually, funnily enough, speaking of cars, Kristen reversed out of the driveway yesterday, and I'm in the bathroom about to have a shower. She calls me. She's like, I hit the neighbor's car. I'm like, oh fuck.
shit.
no.
She reversed into poor Ken across the road, who's definitely not listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, so she hit the car, just the front of it, and yeah, anyway, we couldn't locate Ken, but he came by
How'd she
later.
do
after.
that?
Bit of a love
What are you
tap.
doing?
I
Kristen?
don't know. She's got a reverse camera. Anyway, but you know, she's
Happens to
she's
the
good
best-
at everything
happens to
else.
the best of
So
us.
she can't not the best. She can't be good at everything. Can't be the best driver, can you, honey? Anyway, where were we before the coffee?
Dream cars.
dreams.
Yeah, what's your dream car, Shawnee? You got a dream car?
My dream car. So my dream car would be.
You guys car guys?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
You know what? I've always wanted to have a nice car. I don't think I'm like. It's not one of those things where I think how we're talking about earlier about achieving something and then you finally get it. That's so true, especially in terms of
yeah.
cars. Like once you hear people like, once I get that Porsche, I'll be happy. And my dad was a testament to that, man. We had so many cars, bro. Like he had a Porsche
I remember you
911.
saying that.
Bro,
What?
yeah,
Porsche 911?
Porsche
Wow.
911. He had two of them.
Sid,
Wow.
what's the 911
The
car?
9 cars.
What is he, James Bond or?
Repossessed Habib. No.
He's like, but seriously,
No, he grew up, bro. And seriously, my dad's Porsche, bro. Like he had one.
Oh, bro,
Oh no.
that's risky.
Oh.
I don't know.
Matty, just put the lid of the coffee on the carpet just in case. you're wondering
Irresponsible.
why. Go on.
Yeah, had a Porsche 911. I used to hear him. We used to live in Castle Hill. I used to hear him from Castle Towers driving from like 2 kilometers away here.
Oh my god.
Pulling up in the driveway. And my brother would be on the Xbox. He's like, fuck, I've got to turn it off. I've been playing Xbox all day. So he just run upstairs because my dad's coming
Yeah,
home.
okay.
So, yeah, dream car for
So
me.
you had nice. That's the thing, because I was about to say to you, like, the car thing for me when I was growing up, I never was into cars, and I actually think it's because my dad, despite earning a good income, he's a GP. He always drove the shittest cars
So
you
humble.
can imagine. But like, you got
No, your
you got
face.
fucking
Your
froth all
oh
over your
my
face. Yeah, so, and like, interestingly enough, growing up, I noticed everyone else around me, like, the boys were into cars. So I'm like, oh, fuck, start buying the Wheels magazine from Pendle Station before I get on the train to go to school.
Oh,
and I read the Wheels magazine, boys, check out this one, look at that one. So I actually know a lot about cars, and I kind of faked that interest or that, like, dream of, like, having a nice car because I kind of thought that's what everyone else wanted. So I'm like, oh, I guess, like, I should, but I've never really been a car guy. I still don't give really, like, don't get me wrong. I see a nice car, I'll get in a nice car. I'm like, wow, that's a nice car. But I don't know. I mean, I saw a Land Cruiser Sahara the other day. Wow. With a big
Nice.
Toyota on the front.
Oh, love that.
I looked at that. I said to Kristen, that's actually my dream car now. I've just decided.
I would say Mercedes G-Wagon.
Oh, yeah.
That's the ultimate flex of a car.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate flex of a car. I think we're talking about big
Kardashian
dreams.
spec.
Yeah.
On a
Kardashian
macro
spec.
here, we're talking about dreams, but even there are small dreams along the way. To be honest with you, my car that I'm driving now, love my car, so
BT50.
BT50, shout
Blocking
out
the
Mazda.
driveway.
You do ute. That's the slogan for.
Oh,
the Mazda.
really?
You do ute. You do ute. I had
What are they? I mean, obviously everyone can Google it, but what do they cost? BT50s. I'm just curious. 50,
60, yeah.
67,
Yeah,
I think I
nice.
paid 67. But that was only so sweet because I had such a shit box for such a long time.
Yeah, okay.
I had a shit box for the longest time. I got my license. I'll tell you a funny story in a second. So I got my license when I was 17, obviously, on my birthday, June 10. Coming up
Did you
in
pass
June.
straight away?
Okay. So what happened was,
I love
this is gonna segue to, obviously the story of having a nice car. But basically went in the morning, woke up, I was like, perfect, gonna go get my license. So excited. went to Service New South Wales, and they do the brake light check. They make sure that your high beams are working, make sure the horn's working, all that stuff. And then my brake light wasn't working, and I was using my mum's i30 to do my test.
Oh,
And then they're
fucking
like,
i30.
"Oh, mate, your back tail light's not working. You're gonna need to go change that."
Fail.
And I was like, "Fuck! It's a Saturday or a Friday." I was like, "They're not going to be open the next day. I really want to get it done. It's the long weekend. It's my birthday. I really want to get my license." So I made my mum take me to literally on Victoria Avenue in Cuz, who were up the road to go get that tail light changed, so I could come back. She's like,
they let you come back.
If you can she's like, if you can come back in the next 15-20 minutes to make your test, we'll do it. So I came back, sped it off. They changed the light, came back.
Easy.
It's like perfect. All right, underwent the test, passed with flying colours.
Oh, that's gangster. First time.
100%, aced it.
That's
Absolute-
fat.
Aced it, mate. Aced it.
I fell 4 times.
And then
Oh, true.
let me tell you about. Let me just explain what happened.
Go on,
the
go on.
heartache. So driving back home, I was like,
After you've passed?
After I've passed, mad, got my license.
You're on your Ps at
on my
this
Ps.
point.
Got home, and then I was like, "Mum, I'm gonna take your car. Gonna go get some frangos with the boys."
What happened? What happened?
All right, and then so it's double demerit weekend, yeah.
Oh, so you really took her heart.
On my birthday. And then she's like, "All right, Habibi, just make sure you're safe, drive safe. Like, so I'm
Don't speed.
don't speed, like, drive carefully, be patient." My older brother, Robbie, he's like, "Listen, take it easy.
Don't be a gronk.
Don't be a gronk. You just got your license. Take it easy." I'm like, "All right." He's like, "Take it easy, brother, please. Take it easy." I'm like, "All right, bro, give me the keys."
What were they like when they were when you were in the car with them
Oh,
driving?
cool, bro. But like my
They
older
weren't
brother, he's got
hooligans,
7 years on me, so he's just like, just don't be a dumb cunt. Sorry,
Yeah.
just excuse my language. Don't
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
stupid. You know what I mean? Just be careful.
Yeah.
So I got in the car, driving down Green Road, pulled out of my street. I used to live.
What the fuck? You started playing music on your phone.
What the hell?
No, check your phone. Is yours plugged into this? It's just on our headphones. Oh, no, it's on the TV. What the fuck? Oh, this is hectic.
I feel like we're in a
What the hell?
sitcom.
Running down the road, trying to.
Bro, why track?
Those are Eagles.
Bro, just started playing on its own.
That's hectic.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Anyway.
All right. Anyway.
Anyway, take it easy. Is that the? Oh,
Take
'cause
it
I
easy.
Said,
The
'cause
Eagles.
I said take it easy.
Oh, that's true.
That's weird, bro.
Crazy.
Okay,
Fucking weird.
fucking Apple
Okay, Maddie
Music,
just said "Take It Easy," and the song "Take, It Easy" by the Eagles.
just came on.
Just
Good
keep.
track.
That's weird.
That's very weird. What a track!
Once the she's the friend.
So
I've never
this-
heard it before. I don't
just-
know what it is.
Take it. Bro, this track, bro. Eagles.
Beautiful blonde with.
Right, I need to save this song. Can someone? I'm gonna screenshot it.
Take it easy. Just like. Oh, I like it.
All right, khalas.
All right. Keep going.
Anyway, I'm driving down Green Road. Have my 2 mates in the car. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. 78 in a 60.
What car are you driving?
My mum's i30.
Yeah, hectic.
And then I'm
Is that the
coming
sound
over
it
the
makes?
horizon, and then I just see on the
Copper.
highway patrol.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, shit. I slam the brakes, and I keep going, and I'm like, please, God, please, God, please, God. I'm driving, and I rear view mirror. Whoop! And I'm like, fuck.
It's the sound of the police.
It's the sound of the police. He pulls me over into the next street. He's like, mate, any reason why you were speeding just then? And I'm like, was I speeding, officer? He's like, yeah, mate, we got you clocked in at doing 78 and 60. And I'm like, okay. He's like, can I have your license, please? Gave him my license. He's like, mate, how long you had your license for?
Oh,
I was like,
Maddie.
2 hours. And bro, he felt bad.
he would have. I would have pissed
I
myself
was like,
laughing.
officer,
at
please.
him,
I was like,
mate.
officer, please, it's my birthday, please. He's like, nah, mate, you're gonna have to think. So he's like, here's your infringement.
what a dick.
We'll be
Oh,
sent.
so is that you got?
No, I didn't lose it on the spot. He's like, so which was even worse because I had a sweet taste of freedom.
Like 2-3 months.
2-3 months, and then it finally came in. Anyway, I chucked the UE, went home so depressed. I got inside, I was like, Mum,
Oh
I
god.
just lost my license.
She's like,
she's like, shut up, you just got him. I was like, I know. She's like, oh, bro, it was the
Killer.
worst.
bro, that would have been
And
bad.
I was so scared to tell my brother.
Because you would have been telling everyone, I got my
Yeah.
license.
Got my
license, I got my
What's
license.
wrong?
You
Come
just
for
got
a
a free
cruise.
Come for a cruise. Anyway, I got home.
Girls, what are you doing?
Ended up going to my mate's house for a few beers that night. I just had about 10 beers and fell asleep, and I was just like so depressed. I was so depressed. But anyway, that sort of segmented into the dream of getting my nice Mazda. But the
How
thing
many
was,
demerit points do you have now?
I didn't even. I've got 9 of 13, so I've got 4 left to
4
like
left.
to accumulate. But my brother said to me, "He's like, we're gonna go have a look at the car the next day." And he found out that I got done, and he's like, "We're not getting the car now." He's like, "That's it, you fucked up. You're not getting the car." I was like, "Bro, please, I want to get this car." And he's like, "All right, we'll go." So the next day we went, and he helped me pay for like 60-70% of the car. Love him, bro. Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate it, bro. But yeah, bro, it was so fucking depressing. So that wasn't a dream. That was a nightmare. But the dream,
A dream that turned into a nightmare.
so was my car for the next 7 years. I love that car. I've done everything in that car, mate. Like literally,
Where are we going with
Okay,
this?
all
Where are we
right.
going with this?
Like I've been to a lot of places
All right,
with
kids,
that car.
time to tune off.
Yeah,
Having lots of
how do we put
eating lots of
adult
tubs of yogurt in the back seat.
tubs of yogurt?
Yeah, and then drop some on the.
Mate, yeah, I had been in that many accidents in the car, ridden off the car like 10 times, and it was still going. And you know what? I put it.
Speaking of that, did you guys have any dream vision boards?
I still got one
Have
in my
you got
room.
one?
I got one in my room
Yeah.
with just certain things that I want to achieve.
What do you have on your board?
Oh, you guys have vision boards. Cool.
I do.
There you go.
What's on yours, Shawnee?
No, I did a dream vision board a long time ago, and I put it on my wall, and I just didn't do anything for me.
I tried
really?
to do one at
Yeah,
the
like,
start
I
of
had
each
cars,
year.
I had like money, I had like houses and all this sort of stuff like that. But
But that wasn't.
I know,
that
just
that
didn't
doesn't seem like
really-
you. Even.
yeah, well, yeah, possibly. But yeah, I just didn't really feel it, so I took it down and never did it again.
The more I dive into my spirituality, I'm just, I don't know, the manifesting and things like that. I believe that there is power in that. I just believe that it's not the type of power that I want to aspire, because it continually goes back to selfish me. You know, when I want this car, I want
Yeah,
this
yeah.
house,
Not-
I
not
want
God
these things.
wills it,
It's
I
not
think
what-
that's what it was as well. Like coming back to your values, like does it even align with my values?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And going back to what you're saying, JP, about I think you talked about this potentially us talking about money on one of the podcasts, but how it actually does that actually align with what I want, like money or cars or houses, or looking at possibly contribution being more of a
It's
more
just stuff.
something that's going to give you value and fulfillment. So
Do you know-
it's
and
just
do you know-
stuff.
But why don't
yeah.
we move away from? That's funny, right? Because like I never. And as much as we were, we were relatively, we well off and we were younger, like, just as you were saying, you were Maddie and stuff. And, I think that I never, even when I started my career, like money was never a thing. It was never a thing. I never aspired to it. I was just like, for me, and I think it probably came from my dad. I just want to be really fucking good at whatever
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
That came from my
Yeah.
dad. And like,
That's a
it's funny
story.
how like, I feel like I haven't lost that, but like, it's funny how like the world and now is like encroached on my values in a way. And like now I find myself thinking about those things, and like part of me says, oh, maybe it's out of necessity so I can do stuff with my family. And I think part of it is that, but also it's funny how like, as we get older, like the purity of those values can change. I don't know.
Yes.
Do you guys find that's the same?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's like other people's shit gets put on you, almost projected. The world projects on you,
Yeah.
and then you kind of start to change a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this when you get a bit more self-awareness about who you are and what you actually want, you start to strip away the stories that you've been told over that period of time. Like for me, like money for me, like we didn't have much money when we were growing up. Like we were pretty much broke. Like I mean, look, we did alright. Like my dad did what he
Like
could.
you had
for
a
us,
roof over your
etc.
head, but you never had
a roof, but-
the luxuries.
Yeah, never had the luxuries. We got a PlayStation. That was pretty
Oh,
cool.
and Foxtel.
No, we didn't have.
How'd you watch the wrestling?
No, it was on TV. Like, we
Oh,
did
was
like-
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was on the like
I was in New Zealand.
you're free to
Oh,
air.
New Zealand,
Yeah,
free to
yeah,
air.
yeah.
They didn't have fucking wrestling on TV here.
But you're talking about
Yeah.
stuff, and you're talking about trying to like
things and
accumulate
Yeah.
things.
So yeah, again, I think money's never really been that big to me. But obviously, as you get older, you're like, okay, well, money is important.
Yeah, you need
Right?
it to,
You
to
need it,
do
right?
shit.
But it's not so much about the money itself; it's about what you get from the money. Like, what
Correct.
does
Yeah.
the money actually give you? Whether it's like financial freedom or you not having to worry about paying bills or all these sorts of things like that. So, like and I think that's why my vision board didn't really work for me, because I
Yeah.
had a lot of things that you need money for,
Yeah.
like for these cars and houses, etc. So,
Well,
you
you-
know,
Do you think that, and this is a bit of an interesting take
mm,
on everything we're talking about. Do you think that, I think that one of the things that is beneficial about the human condition is that dreams and our goals tend to, not always, but they do tend to adjust to our situation.
Yeah.
Meaning that, for example, if I dreamed of, owning a private island or having a house in Vaucluse as I was younger, my dreams inevitably would, in the purest way possible, adjust because my consciousness knows that's just literally, or maybe it just knows it's not going to happen. So I think that's an interesting one, right? Because I think like it's a good thing about like like the human condition that we tend to adjust to make sure that what we're kind of aspiring to is at least remotely achievable.
Yeah, but look at the dream that you're saying, even for that example, right? For like owning a house in Vaucluse or the private.
Yeah.
I know you're just
You know what I
using
mean? I'm
an
just taking
extreme.
yeah.
But some people do have these extreme dreams where it's like one object or, one milestone. And that's probably a big part of the reason they don't end up achieving it, because it's like, that's such a lame dream to have. In my opinion,
I agree.
that's such a lame dream. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to...
But it's
got
not
a nice boat.
It's not specific to
But even like, let's say it's like you want to travel all over the world. Let's just say, like, take a really hypothetical example. Someone is like, is working a frontline worker job. They're earning like, maybe 60, 70, 80K. And, one of their dreams was always like to, travel the world and to be, retire by the age of this or whatever it may be, right? Like, I just feel like, I don't know why I just thought to, I just find it interesting that like, it's a good thing that as humans, we tend to like adjust those dreams according to what we believe is somewhat achievable in our lives. You know what I mean? Like we're never going to...
I'll tell you a bit of a story about a dream. And again, we can talk about dreams that you don't actually achieve. And this was also tied into a dream that was mine, but it was based off somebody else, right? So when I was with my ex, she had a friend and she loved Watson's Bay. So would always go to Watson's Bay all the time. Right? And even when we had our Valentine's Day for the last 10, 11 years, we always went to Doyle's. That was our Valentine's Day. So we did that 10 years in a row.
Is that the fish and chips place there?
I've actually never been.
Bro,
there.
it's amazing, man.
Nice. Yeah.
We got there on a boat and my brother just ordered like seafood packs.
Yeah,
Best seafood I've ever had.
Beautiful.
Wow.
It's really nice. So obviously Watson's Bay was a place that we spend a lot of our time. We actually ended up, I proposed there and we also got married there.
Yeah, nice.
Wow.
So
at the hotel, like Watson's Bay Hotel?
yeah.
Oh,
well,
nice.
on the wharf.
Oh, on the wharf. Yeah, nice.
So anyway, but even before that, she was talking to one of her friends, and one of her friends' husbands were there talking to her as well, and she had mentioned about, oh, it'd be awesome to live in Watson's Bay and whatever. And then this guy sort of laughed at her and said like, nah, bro, it's way too expensive. You'll never be able to live there. And then she told me that. And then, when in my mind, I'm like, don't ever tell my wife.
We're gonna fucking.
Don't
live
ever
in
tell my
Watson's
wife that she can't do anything.
Yeah.
Right. So that became like a dream of mine, and that's why after that I proposed at Watson's Bay. We had a wedding at Watson's Bay, and it was such a $million dollar homes. But that fueled my mentality for when I was doing personal training, which is just one part of it. Not saying that was the main reason. Obviously, I wanted to be successful and all that sort of stuff like that. But that became a dream of mine based off somebody else's dream you as well, and someone that you can't do it as well.
That's awesome, but it's also not even the house itself or living in Watson's Bay. It's the fact that they said that you can't.
Yeah, it's the proving that person right. Like it was Watson's Bay.
Especially if someone says that to your partner.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and you'll know that.
Fucking piss you off.
Yeah, 100%.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Yeah. And that was something that fueled, and that was something. That's why I did so big hours, and that was always in the back of my head. But yeah,
you know what as well?
Fruition, but yeah,
bro, I have a funny story, bro. From Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, actually. So it's Thursday today on the day we're recording.
Prison.
So I was helping out my brother do a removalist job at this house in Borkham Hills. Now, there's an old couple that live there. Then close to 90 years old, and we were removing some things, and we're talking about, having all these things and having all this stuff, and, as we get older, our dreams are going to change, and I'm sure in, 2, 3, 4 years, my dreams are going to change from what they are now, and probably the same for both of you guys. You guys have dreams and aspirations now that are going to change, and it's just funny when I went into this beautiful old couple's house, man. They have so much stuff in this house, so many things, so many objects, so many, reminders of the past, and we're moving all this stuff for them into their new house. And it was really sad. It was funny as hell, but it was really sad as well, because you kind of just saw like over 90 years worth of stuff in this house.
Hoarding?
Just hoarding. I think a lot of older people tend to like have so much emotional attachment to
Sentiment,
these things, and
yeah,
they've been in
yeah.
this house for well over 50 years. And you know, we're me and my cousin are placed with this job of moving their things into their new house. And normally with a removalist job, if I was to come in here, we'd move this couch, we'd move the TV, all these vases, wrap them up. These guys had so many objects, rubbish, literally junk mail from the last 10 to 15
Junk
years.
mail.
Junk mail. They've
Junk
taken
mail.
Junk mail.
Oh, so they're hoarders.
They are, but
They're like,
they're
I'm
not.
thinking like they've got like
They're,
figurines.
they're not. They're not even hoarders. They're just old people that have emotional attachment
Yeah,
to these
yeah,
things,
you're
bro. And
right.
I'm going into each room and I'm like, I'm putting things in boxes, and me and my cousin like, cuz we can just chuck this shit out, bro. They won't even- And-
Where's that flyer from the real estate agent 20 years ago?
Bro, I'm telling you, there was newspaper. I promise you, we found a packet of cigarettes from 1928.
Wow.
Bro.
Bro, you
Keep
could-
that. You
You should have
could've
got
kept
fucking
that.
porn stars that show in there
Yeah,
to start looking
yeah,
for
yeah.
shit.
I was thinking about like I was gonna pinch, but I was like, I just had
No,
too much
you can't
conviction.
do
I was like,
that.
I could
No.
not even one thing,
can't
not
take
even a
something.
book. No, they
Yeah.
offered to. They
Can't
had
do
these
that.
They
old
probably had a
glasses.
catalogue of
Bro, they
everything.
had
Yeah.
encyclopedias, Charles Dickens books. They had
Wow.
William Shakespeare original
There would have
copy.
been, there would have been some
There was some
Yeah.
really, really cool stuff in there,
That'll
bro.
be worth some money. At some point in time,
100%.
Big time.
And I was just speaking to them. And she was like having a bit of anxiety while I'm packing up her stuff in her bedroom.
watching you.
She's like, "Oh, this is really hard for me. I don't want to throw any of this stuff
What
out."
accent is that?
I don't know. It's just like English, Aussie, 90-year-old accent. And I'm like,
Old person
I
accent.
was like, Mary, like, I know this is really hard for you. And I had her, man. Like, it broke my heart, bro, to do this, like, to have to move this stuff into a new house. Because she was helpless and she had all these dreams and aspirations when she was younger that I'm sure she's either achieved or not achieved. But it was just a constant reminder of the past. And it just made me so grateful that I could bounce up to the top stairs, grab stuff, put it away. And they were like looking at us like we're fucking Superman. They were like, wow, like, you're so young and fit. And I was just like, wow, you know what? Like, I'm so grateful for that. Do you know what I mean? That I can just do these things that these
But-
people can't. Because they've got one of those zzz thing that
Yeah.
takes them up to
Oh,
the
wow.
stairs.
That could be a good thing
Oh,
to
Mary
do as well,
Poppins.
like visiting your grandparents or visiting people, elderly people, and asking them what dreams did they not achieve and why they think that is. You know, they give you a good bit of a perspective as to where you are in your life and what could happen if you don't try and go achieve those dreams.
And I feel like as that you notice this when you're speaking to older parents. You know, when I even speak to my grandparents, what we will probably realize as we continue to get older and older is that it's all just a hell of a lot simpler than
Way.
Yeah.
like it's just like they are just concerned. They don't even need to speak. We just need to be around them, sitting on the couch next. All they care about is being around their family and looking back.
Yeah.
I'm sure they look back and they go, the stuff that I appreciate the most was my time with the people that I cared about,
That's
the people
it.
that I
Yeah.
loved.
That's all they're going to take
and
with them.
and you know, even
Yeah.
like the other day, for example, you know, and this is just an example of like, you know, spending time with the ones that you love. I went to, after Kristen and I had a 1 year anniversary weekend in the city. We did a
Happy
beautiful
anniversary.
staycation. Thank you, thank you. We had an amazing weekend in the city, played tourist, whatever. Went to my grandparents the day after we got back to our place here. And sitting down, and they love seeing photos and videos, so we showed them some photos of the hotel and like going around the city and having dinner. And my teta, my grandma, said to me, she's like, you know, make sure you do this stuff more than just on your anniversary. Like, you know, go and do stuff with your wife and take her and just like, it's funny because like, you know, all that sort of stuff for them is just about spending time with and
Your
having
loved
those
ones,
experiences with your loved ones. And, you know, I think
Well, time you're
But-
never going to get back, bro. It's the most precious commodity.
Yeah.
You
But
know what I mean? You
yeah.
spend time, but you can never make time.
Yeah. But
You know what I mean?
that's probably
Shackers. I like that.
Shackers. That's probably even a lesson for me as well, coming from my previous relationship when I was, and that's probably why we had that breakdown in our relationship, because I was just at work, just working,
You were going
working,
hard, eh?
working, and then look back at it and you're like, man, like, you know, and obviously that's a lesson learned for the next time or going to the next phase of my life where I'm like, well, now I want to work hard, but I want to work harder. I want to work smarter rather than harder, and I want to be able to have that time to spend with people, right?
Yeah.
And again, I've said this before about 180 and the boys and the girls there as well, like making sure that I can actually sit down, have a coffee with everybody, and be present.
Be present.
And you know, and those are the things you're going to enjoy when you're sitting there, you know, later on in your life and you're looking back at those memories and you go, man, like, yeah, I had a great life with this career. I made this money and that was great. But man, those memories that I had with those
It's
people
always
were
people,
amazing.
man. It's always people.
It goes
The
back
memories
to
of
that.
people.
Community and-
even if it is like, even if you think back to, like, for me personally, even when I think back to, like, you know, I always talk about LinkedIn and how great that was. And
It's
I was
always the
talking,
people.
Talk about the
I was
people.
talking to my mate
Yeah.
Mitch this morning, and he's working at LinkedIn in London, and it was his 30th. So shout out Mitch, happy birthday, brother. And he was talking about how, like, you know, how great it is in London in the summer, and I'm like, how's the office and whatever, and is it good? Is it like Sydney? And he's like, man, I don't even know how to explain what we had back then. It was just like, I've never been in a place where you just hang out with your friends every single day and it was always around the people. We didn't like, I mean, we talk about, you know, we've made good money and stuff, but like, it's always like how great those experiences were with the people that we cared about and the friends with and whatever.
I think that's such a good perspective to have, is like, you know, I've heard Alex Hormozy talk about it, but I'm sure he's not the only one that's spoken about that before, is like trying to view life through the lens of like, all right, I'm 85 years old, I'm on my deathbed. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like, am I really going to let those things get to me? Am I really going to care so much about the things that I didn't achieve, or am I going to try and enjoy those moments and those people that I share things with? But
I think people can get that, you know, get in between that. Like, okay, I want to spend a lot of time with people, but I want to try and achieve this. It's like trying to find that balance between the two, where you can achieve your dreams, whether it's monetary, whether it's through your work or whatever, but also like,
What I mean, do we want to? We obviously talk a lot. We talk a lot about our kind of, you know, our journeys and stuff. And I mean, one thing we hadn't covered off on a lot of is just like, what's everyone working on now? Like, what are our dreams? What are you know, Shawnee, where are you at, and what do you feel like? And again, this can change, but like, what are you aspiring to right now?
But I guess that was like what I said at the start of the podcast, that whole contribution piece. That's probably the big one. I mean, I have some stuff coming up, which we can talk about at a later stage, but that's probably like the big one, because I started to think about that again 10, 12 years ago. So it's still there, it's still in the back of my mind, and it's still something that I'm looking to try and work towards. So that's probably my
nice.
My main.
What about you, Maddie?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, bro. I really do want to be of service to others as much as I can. I think I was and still can be super selfish at times and have my own interests at mind. And I think it's important to have those goals and aspirations, but the most joy I get is from serving others. Like, we feed the homeless, me and my cousin, on Friday nights now. We did that street preaching on Friday night, which was super awesome. And just, you know, just trying to be of service to others in any way, shape or form that I can. I think, you know, God's going to give me a bit more of a clearer vision of dream of maybe a career orientated thing. But I think the cafe was like such a big dream of mine. And you know what? I definitely think I'm going to have something like that in the future, where I'm aspiring towards, you know, a physical goal in this reality. But yeah, I think, you know, man, you reap what you sow, bro. I just want to be able to help as many people I can, whether that's emotionally or spiritually, or helping them find a relationship with God, or, you know, just being there to lend an ear. That's where I'm at right now. I think that's going to change.
I'm calling it, bro. You're going to be a pastor.
Yeah,
I'm calling it right now,
So.
Bro, it's the most fulfilling thing.
How good
do you feel when you help someone?
Yeah, of course. But I'm saying, like, you don't meet many, you know, 23-year-olds that have the gift of the gab like you, and your ability to kind of, you know, influence and like persuade, and like you have that. You've got. But
you know what?
X-factor,
and that's true,
you know?
bro. We are all given.
You need to. Use
we're
those
given gifts.
Yeah.
I think your dream. I think you should try and work out. If we're just talking openly right now, I think you should try and, you know, come to know yourself a little bit better, and by doing that, you'll realize that there are gifts that have been instilled in you by a divine being. That you have gifts, Sean. You have a gift. You have a gift, whatever that is. I don't even know what your gift is. You probably are still coming to find out what your gifts are. JP, you've got a gift. I've got a gift. Everyone out there listening to this has a gift that is, you know, unique and beautiful to you as a person. And once you can really hone in on what that gift is, or what those gifts are, because there's probably a few of them that you have, then you can use that to then tailor towards what the goal is or what the dream is that you're trying to achieve. If you're someone who's, you know, really shy, and, you know, one of your gifts isn't being outspoken or being super confident, then maybe your dream shouldn't be in line with being a public speaker.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I think for me, I'd like to think that one of my gifts is being able to connect with people and being authentic and having these open conversations, hence the podcast. So maybe a dream of mine is going to be tailored around something like that.
And I've got, and that's, you make a good point, and some practical advice on that for people listening. And that actually, you know, the CEO of LinkedIn, Jeff Weiner, who, you know, built the company from an early stage. He wasn't the founder of the company, but he built it up to what it is today, and he left a legacy behind him. You know, he always used to say that, and we can bring this back to gifts. The where people tend to find the most, you know, success and fulfillment in their life is when they do something that is at the intersection of their passion and their skills. And I firmly believe that's the best way to describe what your gift is. Yeah. What you're passionate about, what you have a set of skills for.
Wow.
So if that can, you know, help people kind of get on the right track, You know, there's probably things right now that you can think of that we're super passionate about. You're passionate about wrestling. Maybe you're not that good at wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't actually. You'd probably be a fucking good wrestler. But yeah, that intersection of passion and skills.
Yeah. Understanding your strengths and how you can use those to benefit others.
That's right. And where we at?
What about your dreams? Last one.
Oh yeah,
JP, what are your dreams?
No, look,
and you don't have to know now.
And that's the thing. For me, that's the thing. Right now, it's very different to how it might be in you know, a little while time. And I know that, you know, Kristen and I, you know, at some point we want to start a family, and you know,
Cute.
for me right now, honestly, it's about being able to earn. Right now, it's about earning a decent wage,
Beautiful,
and being able to travel with my wife. That's it. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to travel, earn a decent wage, have some flexibility in my work, and that's what I'm doing. I'm fortunate enough to work, you know, remotely pretty much most of the time, so we have that flexibility, and I can go and work overseas and stuff as long as I can, you know, get my work done. And the reason that is my dream at the moment is because I want us to be able. Why are you smirking? The reason I want to be able to do that is because I know that, you know, we're gonna. I'm not saying you can't do that stuff when you have kids. You certainly can, but I want us to be able to have that kind of year and a half or whatever, however long it is, where we're able to kind of travel and have a bit of like freedom. You know, and that's what it is right now. It's going to change. There might be some big, hairy, audacious dream that I, you know, think of down the track. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. Anyway, why were you smoking?
Shawnee, closing statement.
So there was no smoke.
No. You know, if you're out there and you got big dreams, make sure you break it down to set goals and plans, and talk to somebody about it. If you don't know how to do it, then find someone to help
reach
you
out. Reach out.
That's a big. Oh, fuck! I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I'm just going to say one thing. One thing that people that don't tend to do often enough, and I feel like I've been really good at that through my career, is going to people who you admire, asking them for help and for advice. So many people don't do that because
pride gets in the way.
Yeah, but don't make sure that you don't go. You know, we all want to follow these people who are the millionaires and X, Y, and Z. Just go to the person that's just above you.
Yes.
Don't worry about that person. Go to the person that's just above you, and then go from there, because those people at the top, they've done everything.
That's right.
You know, you're not at that level yet. Like, let's go to the next person and then go from there. But,
Just closing on my end. Find your gift and use it to achieve your dream, man. Don't sit back and wonder and think, oh no. Go find your gift. It's God-given. Take advantage of it and go achieve your dreams.
Take action.
Thanks for listening. Episode 6. Let's go, baby.
Thanks, gang.
Let's go.
See yous.